Good afternoon, friends. I hope all of you are doing well. Apologies for starting a bit late, but we were on call with Alvin sir about the uh, midterm MCQs which will be happening and all that stuff. So we just got that clarified. Today we are on our last session, and we're gonna try to do it in two parts. One is we're gonna do the topic 9, and then we're gonna talk about the overall picture, and then bring the whole story together and finish it off. Just a recap, last session, and I'm just looking. We did HR accounting, and we did the practical part of it as well as the other part. And I'm also looking at if I uploaded the notes, and I think I have, but still give me a minute. Yeah, I have uploaded HR accounting and HRA there. Now I'm just making the last folder. And notes for this also are uploaded here. So you have all notes for each and everything which has been taught for you in the class. Right. So this is sorted. Let me also give you the link again. Just give me 1 minute. Chat is opening up. Right. Here is the link on which all the notes are there. Alvin sir has already uploaded that on LMS, but in each and every chat, I have been sharing this link again so that the chance of you missing it becomes minimal, but then it can still happen. And just give me 1 minute and I will show you something else also. Share. Yeah, this is how the share folder looks like. Uh, it gives the topic as well as the date on which we took the session. The topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9. We're doing it in two parts. That's why you have two dates. So please do refer to them accordingly. And I think it should become easier both from MCQ, midterm, as well as from the final perspective. Right. Let's now start our session for the last topic. Let's put up here. Right. So we have spoken about multiple things right from day one. Right, in 5 sessions we spoke everything about what is analysis, what is analytics, why is it required, why is it important for HR, how does a role of HR analyst look like. Then we went into LAMP model. Then we looked at the ladder about data, metrics, descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics, so on and so forth, right? And last session was on HR accounting, where you can make a business case in a way which the conventional financial accounting usually does not allow you to do, right? So the key part we are looking at, if you are looking for a future, if you are looking in the future HR leader, right? Uh, Skills and competencies. right? If you are looking at a future leader future leader skill and competencies with a strong emphasis on HR analytics, because that is our topic. And I think I hope you will agree with me that till now we have successfully established that going forward, working without HR, without analytics, even in HR, may not give the right benefits, right? So, what all the skill and competencies which will be required, and I think many of you all of you would be are the future leaders. So we just need to figure out what all skill and competencies do we require, right? So as you will be watching the videos, and as I've been trying to do to make it engaging and provoking, would be I will pause for 2 minutes, and I would want you to think in your mind what would be skill and competencies. And when I start explaining, you can compare, tick off, or make note if you see that I have added some value to what you have already thought about, right? So I'll just give you 2 minutes in your mind to quickly think what would be the skill and competencies of a future HR leader. I'm sure many of some of the points which I'll put up out here, you would have already thought about, but still, last 30 seconds for you to think before I start putting it up here. Yeah, okay. So I think when we talk about a leader, any leader, and in this case, HR leader, I think the first one would be we would want the leader to be a strategic thinker. That's a skill and competency that uh, uh, leaders should have, right? Now, what does this mean? This mean that should have, and we had done this earlier, even in the camp, in the lamp model, and even in the ladder, right? Right. Ability to align HR strategies with overall organizational goals. This is the key, because if this is not done, then everything else which we do in HR, especially in analytics, will be of no use. Because if HR is not able to deliver as per the organization goal, then it does not make any sense. And once this is done, then we need to utilize analytics, trends and patterns uh, for effective prediction, right? That could be for hiring people, that could be for uh, grooming people, could be for developing people, and for everything, right? So should be a strategic thinker, and then should be able to strategically figure out, right? And also right? Uh, and then to use these inputs which come in to develop forward-looking strategies, so that proactively organizational goals can be met, right? When we're looking forward-looking, then what we get out here will be the prescriptive analytics, right? So that is the I think very important to be a strategic thinker, and then putting the whole story into place. Then the second one should be a data driven uh, decision maker. Uh, few points which come to my mind is that everything which gets done in HR should be basis data, should not be basis gut feeling and all that stuff, right? Yeah, some part of uh, subjectivity might come in, but bulk of it should be objective. One thing could be that if you as a leader are if you are in a meeting and you're talking about something, but enough data is not available to make a decision, you defer the decision, ask the team to go back, get the right data before you look into it, and then say what needs to be done and what need not be done. This is where the team gets the message that you will be working purely basis data, and whatever you decide will be backed by data. It might take time. It might initially create lots of heartburn, but eventually it will help out. Which will also mean the leader should also be very comfortable in using analytics and interpreting the data. Because if you as a leader are not able to do that, then there would be a problem and you will be dependent on somebody else to figure out what is happening and what is not happening, right? So it's very important that we need to do that and then use data to transform and optimize HR processes, right? It could be right from the place of uh, recruitment, selection. It could be employee engagement. It could be performance management. It could be talent management. It could be talent development, so on and so forth. For everything, you use data to decide what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Now, when you're working on data driven, we had also spent some time on making the scorecards and metrics. It's again very important that you identify the right metrics to be your KPIs, because then you will know whether you are using right data driven decision making or not, right? And hence data driven decision making becomes very important. So what did we said? Ability to use and interpret data and analytical outputs. Yeah, which is very important, right? Uh, use data to optimize HR processes, optimize and transform HR processes, right? And here I'm saying full employee like life cycle, right? Uh, Identify and implement right KPIs slash metrics to assess the impact, right? So this is how we need to do this, and this is how we need to take this forward, right? So strategic thinker, data driven decision maker. What could be next, right? Proficient in technology, because if you're using analytics, you bring in technology, and if you do not stay in touch with technology, then your capability to use analytics and to implement that part into the effectiveness of HR and then in turn of the organization would be minimal, right? So technology comes into play. So uh, a future HR leader will have to stay in pace or stay ahead of what's happening in the market in field of technology and in field of analytics, right? Which would mean in the world we are living in now, generative AI should be adopted as soon as possible in real time, so that you can take full advantage of it. Now, if that's not done, you as a leader are not doing what is expected from you, right? So I think that's what, and I think now we are moving away, or we are just moving ahead of generative AI, and we are going into AI agents, right? So again, lots of reading, lots of staying in touch with what's happening in the market. Just knowing what we know till now won't be sufficient, because this field is changing very, 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 very fast. So to keep pace. Why technologies? Because analytics use technologies. New tools keep coming, new technologies keep coming on which we make new products, which are tools. So hence we need to do that. And then other part would be implement. I'm looking for the right word. Implement new features. Most of the time they are advanced at the earliest, because just by knowing it's not sufficient, but if you don't use it in your organization and let your people take advantage of it, again, it's of no use. So the capability as a leader, one, to keep pace and identify, and second, so we can actually say identify and implement new features uh, at the earliest. We can say new tools slash features at the earliest, right? And then key examples out here would be generative AI, AI agents, blockchain is coming into place now, and obviously we cannot forget machine learning. This is what as of now, and I'm sure if we were to talk 6 months down the line, something new, something new would come into play, right? So what have we done? We have said, okay, should be a strategic thinker, should be a data-driven decision maker, should be proficient in technology, right? So far, so good, right? But then the question comes that after all, he's an HR leader, right? Which means HR also needs to be HR also needs to be taken care of. So which means we also then go to our core HR, even though it's HR analytics, we go into HR and right. Our leader, the HR leader, needs to be talent acquisition and retention specialist, because in the end, it's all about people. And if you can't retain people and you can't acquire the right talent, then what's the point of having technology and all that? So all the 3 points out there should end up resulting into you as a leader being able to build up a culture or build up an organization which is able to attract good talent and is able to retain them, right? So what we'll say, yeah, use analytics to attract and retain top talent. And analytics can help because you can run uh, predictive analytics and check out, uh, make prediction of who will stay for how long, what motivates whom. We had spoken about that earlier, but different people have different needs at different levels. At senior level, it has been proven that money is not a driver, right? So using analytics to figure all that out and figure out like who should be, for who money matters, for who designation matters, for who recognition matters, and for who challenging role matters, and for who new opportunity matters. And once you can use analytics to identify lots of patterns here, which we have put up here, to identify trends and patterns, and that's where it starts coming into big. And once you give everybody the right incentive, which is data driven decision making. So use analytics to attract and do top tenor, right? I'm just taking one example, and by using predictive and prescriptive models, you can proactively address turnover. You can get involved and figure out and try to address what will happen when, and then you can start working onto it, right? This can be very, very powerful because then you can build up a talent acquisition pipeline. You can ensure that organization will not be impacted if there is attrition, right? So that's uh, can be achieved. Now the other part could be, I'm just giving one more example, uh, because it is something which many organizations are focusing on. We can also say use analytics to drive D&I initiatives, diversity and inclusion initiatives can also be. So I'm just giving some example. There can be 10 thousands more examples, but the key is that as an HR, your core job is to attract and retain top talent, and analytics can help massively. It could also be whom to give which training, right? Right training gives right motivation, and it can really work, right? So, and I'm not putting it in any sequence, and hence you will see that I'm not putting it as serial number. I'm putting bullet points. Depending on each organization's vision and mission, the priority on or the focus could change. Right. So we have spoken about being strategic. We have spoken about data-driven decision maker. We have said the guy needs to be a nerd, should know the technology inside out, should, and then we bring in the core of HR, which is talent acquisition and being a retention specialist. Now, once we do that, to do all this, to be able to juggle all this and bring all this where you have people, process, and technology, all three coming in, our leader should be an change management expert, right? Because things don't happen by themselves. You need to make things happen, especially when you are working with people. And hence strong emphasis on change management expert. It comes up, right? I think it's been proven that everybody wants to change, but nobody wants to change. Everybody wants a change, but nobody wants to change. And I think here the leader, the future leader, using analytics should be able to manage the change much more effectively compared to one who is not using analytics, right? Right? How it can be done? use analytics. Yeah. Well, how will you do it? We can use analytics to assess and to mitigate potential challenges, which would mean that you can go back and look at 5 years of all the initiative you took, and if you have the data, you can figure out what worked and what didn't. And by looking at that, you can figure out uh, why it didn't work. Now, I'll give you an example. In many organizations in HR, the simple thinking is bring in HRIS, Human Resource Information System, and especially in talent acquisition, bring in ATS and everything will be done. You got analytics done, right? The thinking is right, but the approach is wrong. When the moment you only look at the tools, then the focus becomes the tool. The focus becomes how to train people on the tool, and the main objective behind it that we want to take care of people, which is point put up here, that we want to be a talent acquisition and retention specialist. It all becomes about how well are we using the tool? Are we using it on time? Are the reports coming in? And the moment it becomes a technical project, people don't relate to it, and when people don't relate to it, then its effectiveness usually goes down, right? So this is how you can figure it out. We have Gen Z, we have millennials, we have now got the alpha generation coming in. So if you don't assess and mitigate, try to mitigate potential challenges using analytics, then it would be difficult, right? And I think that becomes right. And the moment I say alpha generation coming in, then what we are saying, use analytics to assess im- potential impact on workforce, right? An example which comes out here, right? Which would also mean if you are able to look at the change, and you are able to see that more and more technology is being introduced by the organization is transforming and going into industry 4.0 and industry 5.0 and all that stuff. You can, using analytics, implement strategies to upskill, which is very important, right? Upskill and reskill existing workforce. So even before the time comes, you have existing workforce to address skill requirement. And if you're able to do that, people start trusting you, and then as a leader, you can get lots done, right? So the person needs to be a change management expert to get all this done, right? So the leader is expert in attracting and retaining. The leader should be expert in managing change, because when we work with people, it's all about managing change, because no two individuals are same. And obviously with that, all the technology is coming in and everything is coming in out here, right? Now, a company is all about people. Company may have fantastic tools and everything else, but in the end, it's about how good people they have. And one way of retaining is when the leader focuses on being an advocate for employee experience, which basically means the way I said earlier, it should not about be using ATS. It's about, if using application tracking system, will that help talent acquisition team? Will that help the hiring manager? Will that help the candidate? Will it enhance their experience? The moment you focus on that, suddenly managing change becomes very very, very right. So what you can do is you can use analytics to understand experience, right? You can use, or you can leverage, right? You can figure out, okay, we had 1 year, 2 years back done an initiative where we involved the people, we asked for their inputs on how it should be done, and when we implemented that, the success rate was very high, and the employee engagement survey went up. And then you can say 6 months back, you did one more initiative where no inputs from the actual employees were taken. A few people sat down and thought about the initiative, and that was implemented, and the feedback was not very good. In fact, it was negative. Analytics allows you to do all this and then figure out what works and what doesn't work, or sometimes what works in which situation and how to take advantage of it. Right? How do you do it? Uh, you design and implement feedback mechanism, yeah, which is uh, very, very important, yeah. Feedback mechanism and surveys to get right. That's why many organizations have an employee engagement survey. Some do it on a smaller scale, on a continuous basis, and then once a year it is done across the organization basis, because the key focus is how can they elevate the employee experience and make it better, right? So employee becomes very, 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 very thing. And I'm going to write something out here and I'll explain that. Right, standardize but still personalize the experience, which basically mean I'll have to take you back here and where we said uh, use data to optimize and transform HR processes to the extent possible. The HR processes should be standard, but same point of time, it should be flexible enough that employees think that it is being personalized. And that's where the experience becomes much, 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 much better. And hence I said the focus should not be the tool, the focus should be what you're trying to achieve. The moment you do that, your tool is then seen as only as mechanism and not a line drawn on stone which cannot be changed, right? Things can be done because we are working with people. I'm not saying working outside the system, but making the system flexible enough so that employee feel that their experience is being enhanced, right? One here could be like personalized learning plan. You could still have a standard LMS system, but by integrating by using AI agents, you can ask right question to the employee to check what that employee aspiration is, what they want to do, and basis that recommend courses which might help them grow either vertically or laterally, right? So I think that's where the whole thing comes into play, right? So should we just see what we have built, because then we'll bring some more point, and I think it'll also get you to tick off what you were thinking when I ask you to just note down few points, right? A strategic thinker, data-driven decision maker, proficient in technology, keeping pace, identifying new features and implementing them at the earliest. And then we saw some examples. Then obviously getting into the core of HR, which is talent acquisition and retention specialist. Right now, many might be thinking if some of you are in performance management or CNB, you will say, hey, he's only talking about talent acquisition or retention could be HRBP. But actually, not that is not the case. All of us in HR actually should be focusing on attracting and retaining top talent, right? It's not only for the talent acquisition team and it's not only for the business partners team, right? I'll give you an example. If CNB will design competitive compensation and benefits, it will attract the right talent and it will help retain the talent. If performance management professional would design a transparent and a very effective performance management system, then and appraisals are done more objectively than subjectively, which would mean people will stay back. So retention is taken care of. And when these people are staying back, they will refer their organizations to their friends and equally capable people. And that's where you will attract talent, which otherwise you would not have been able to talent. That same thing for L&D. If you personalize your experience and because of that people stay, right, then they will also spread word around and then many more people will join, like to join, because they would believe that you would want them to grow and it's not along with the organization, right? So this is how that comes into play. Has to be a change management expert because to get the things done, you have to manage change, right? We took one example of new workforce coming in. Then same thing for AI. With AI coming in now, right? It's making lots of people uncomfortable, and a strong HR leader should be able to identify it, step in, and upskill and reskill existing workforce so that they are able to cope with this change more effectively. Employee experience advocate. All of this should lead to employee feeling that they are taken care of, their experience is being enhanced or elevated, and that's what the leader should be focusing on massively and design and implement. And to do that, ensure that you are getting regular feedbacks directly or indirectly, so that then you can work onto it and then take proactive steps, right? And the more you can do it, the better, right? As you can see, lot is expected from a HR leader, right? And then to do all this, to be able to do this, to be able to do this, uh, HR leader should be able to collaborate and effectively, right? While it may be seen as a very basic competency, but it's massive, keeping in mind all the other topics we have done, because if as a leader you cannot collaborate, or as a leader you can't communicate effectively, then getting work done, and no matter how good is your analytics, it will take you nowhere, right? So which basically mean ability to communicate, analytical output in a simple or clear. but compelling manner, right? So you should be able to work on some very complex data, but when you go and talk to your people, you should be able to speak about it in a business language which they understand, relate to their business, so that they get uh, they get incentivized to do what you are asking them to do, right? So that's that's important. What other would be uh, yeah, this is obvious, but it has to be written. The ability to collaborate with other business functions, right? To ensure, right? Because business requirement keeps changing, business needs keep changing, so their strategy also might keep changing. That's why the need to collaborate for doing that, which will also mean uh, right, which will also mean to advocate internally that for any people related initiative, even though done by business, HR data and HR analytics, right? And I'll put data here, should be used so that the uh, collaboration and the communication becomes pretty clear, right? So yeah, we got into this. Now we had spoken about earlier about purely from the technology point of view, but I think we need to bring this out here that overall HR leader, any leader in this age, uh, should be a lifelong learner and should be able to adapt to changing scenarios around us. And I think that's what even applies out here, right? So stay in touch with what's happening in the market. Now here I'm saying both HR and tech. Earlier we had only spoken about technology, but here we are talking about both because I think uh, it is right. Also ensure that as a leader you lead by example and you are able to build a continuous learning culture, not only in HR but also within the organization. Right. I think we have covered a lot. Strategic thinker, data driven decision maker. Let me do something out here. Let me just put the headers because last point is linked to all of those. So we said strategic thinker, proficient in technology. Then we are saying talent acquisition and retention specialist that takes care of this. We come here, talk about change management expert, employee experience advocate, effective collaboration and communication, just getting the flow right, and continuous. So if I do this, yeah, these are all the points we have put together. Now, what I want to do is I want to bring one last point, but I think I want to show it in such a way that I think it's, yeah, right. Now, if you see on the left, strategic thinker good, strategic thinker came twice. That should not have been. What was the second one? Yeah, data driven decision maker. Let's let's bring this one. Uh, yeah, if you see, that is a lot, right? All that employee data, all the organization data, and with technology getting massive insights using analytics, you are able to predict. You can understand your people better because you are looking at how to attract and retain top talent. You are very good at change management. You are looking at employee experience. You are doing collaboration and communication. So there's massive data basis which you can do a lot. And usually, so much of data when it comes with some good and massive responsibility, and that's why HR leader should always focus on ethical and responsible practice, right? What does that mean? Because with so much data, uh, you can sometimes get into the side of data which you don't want to, where you start profiling people. You start looking at what they have been doing, how they have been doing, and all that stuff. And if it's used for that purpose, then it may not be fair to lot many people, and using data for what it was not collected for. So medical records of the employee are there, but if you start using that and start predicting when will they pick up the next illness, and because of that should they stay in the organization, think that will be not responsible and not even ethical, right? So yeah, that's why ethical and responsible practice is there, and that should be done in data collection, very important in storage and usage. There are laws that after 8 years, if you're looking at GDPR, which is a European standard on data privacy. After 7 to 8 years, if a person has left your organization, that data should be archived and should not be available online for other people to see within the organization. So data collection, and then not collecting data which is not required. So not going into the private part of the employee and staying away and not collecting, storing at a safe place where it will not get hacked and all. And the last one we spoke about usage, ensuring that data is used for what it was collected for and not otherwise. Otherwise, it becomes massive ethical problem, right? And use fair and yeah, I need not say too much about it. Most of you are using generative AI and all that stuff, and you can see how if a biasness was there in the uh, training of the model, all the AI generative AI tools are nothing but models, LLMs, large language model, and the other one which you are seeing, they are called SLM, small language models or semi-language models. If they are not trained properly and bias is introduced, then obviously everything you will do out there would be biased, and the same thing happens even in analytics. So utmost care should be taken to ensure that your analytical practice, if you're a leader, that you and your team is using a fair and unbiased analytical practice to come on, right? So this way we have summarized everything on a single page. I'm gonna pause again for a few minutes for you to look and see which one of this you had thought about, and which one of these are something which is new. Great. So I think with this we end this particular part. It's already an hour. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll just take a small live case to show you, and then we'll close up. And I'll say thank you. It's 3:03. I'll see you at 3:15, right? And then we will take it forward from there. Right. Let's get started. To end, let me take one example, live example, a small case to show that as a leader, how you can see data or how can you use data to turn things around. Yeah. We had done, if you remember, two first, where we did all 8 steps. So I won't do all the 8 steps, but I'll take you close to it. So let's look for some data like this. Just- Yeah. So let's say example that top business management was on a site visit, and they heard comments about that the training given by L&D department was not very effective. Management usually listens to everything what they hear, and then they come back and reflect onto it. So when they came back, right, they spoke to you as an HR leader and asked, what is happening? And one way to check whether L&D is effective or not is to look at the performance rating and then help identify if training was indeed effective or resulting in better performance. Now, the question is, and I think here we need to understand as an HR leader why we are taking performance rating and not simple rating of the course. Rating of a course is very different. Like how much did you like the course and all that stuff. You can take it from the participant, you can take it from their manager, you can take it from the trainer. But the proof of the pudding is is organization able to gain from it, and that comes in when the yearly appraisal happen, and if that employee gets a better, is able to perform better, which means if the employee is able to perform better, then the performance rating would be higher. And that's where it's a very good indication that the training is working effectively, right? So that's why, so let's say in that particular place where they spoke, there were 10 employees, just a hypothetical case. So we went back and saw 3 years of data and say, let's look at that and see if it's being effective or not, right? 8 steps we know. I'll just repeat it for the last time. Is the given input data or information? Second one is if data of the right quality, is the problem worth investigating? Then comes define the problem statement, then decide which statistical tests to use, then execute the test, then summarize your findings, and last one would be give your recommendations, right? The whole life cycle. We have done it twice. In case you missed it, then please look at those videos, and you will be able to see that whole concept out there. Now, in this particular part, I'm straight away gonna go and run the test. We are looking for 3 years. We are just give me 1 second. We just gonna we just straight away gonna run the test, right? So because I'd have also shared that file with you. Uh, so the data is numeric. The data there are more than two variables. Because there are more than two variable, data is numeric, and we want to check if training has been effective or not via the performance rating. So we are looking at the difference of mean. If 2019 performance rating were better than 2018 and 2018 were better than 2017, then their mean would be different, right? So in this case, what we do is we go and run ANOVA. So, and you have that sheet which for reference, which you can look at. So I go and run ANOVA single factor. Why single factor? Because we only have one factor, which is performance rating. If it was performance rating and gender, then we would have gone for two factor, but here we need to have just one. So I go and select the whole data. I say label in first column. I go and put my output. I say I want my output here, please. And here I start looking into it, right? I look at my uh, mean because I'm looking if improvement mean as the year went by, the mean improved. But here we can see 2017 to 18, there was a slight improvement, but then 2019 there was actually it went down. So it's red straight away. There is no improvement. But when we are doing statistics, we don't only go by mean. We look at the p-value. The p-value is less than is more than 0.05, which means it's not significant. So the improvement is not there, right? L&D is not leading to better performance. Second thing to check is to look at the F critical value. If F critical value is more than, sorry, if F value is greater than more than F critical, then again, it means it's significant. That also is not the case. Most of the time, if the P value is not significant, then F will not be more than F critical, right? So if I'm a HR leader, I look at it and say, hey, actually, my L&D is actually, my training is actually not leading to a better performance, right? So what will happen out here? We could think about quickly stop all the trainings to take a review. Apart from the mission critical training would be which is required to run normal business, which could be induction, orientation, or hard skills which come into place, but stop other trainings, do a industry benchmark, review everything, uh, look at the industry best practice on what they are doing in those type of training and all that stuff, right? Then redesign, maybe run a pilot, see the impact of it, then see how it is working. This is how we use this data to figure out what can be done and what can't be done, right? Now let's go forward. You're as HR leader, data driven decision making using technology. So you really went back, look at the data, got the inputs, and then started figuring out what to do, what not to do. You looked at the trends, and then let's say you implemented all the new training stuff which was there and all that stuff, right? And let's fast forward because most of these things take time. So I've taken a hypothetical case out here. And let's say now we have data for the next 3 years. You have implemented all the learnings which you got from here, and year on year you started implementing it. Now here is what we have on this particular part. Let me see if I can put everything on a single page. Right. So here is our data after taking all the inputs, insights, working with other business functions and all that stuff. I need to do this. I think my sharing is going. Let me put the sharing again. Yeah. I again go into data. I again go to data analysis. I again pick up ANOVA, again single factor. Why? Because it was only because of PA rating, nothing more. I go and select my new range. I say column, I pick up my new output range, otherwise it will overwrite on that. And here is my new information, right? I go and highlight my uh, average or the mean. I can see the means are going up, which is good. But now I need to see whether they are significant or not. Now, if I go and look, my p-value is less than 0.05. The moment you see The moment you see a E in a P value, which means the value is so less that it cannot be shown here. But if you see here, there are one, two, three, four zeros, right? So close to zero. So yes, significant. And you can also cross check by looking at that F value is higher than the F critical value, right? Which basically mean you heard what the system was saying, you looked at what employees were saying, you went back, you stayed in touch with the industry, figured out what was happening and what was going on, right? So I'm just bringing it into this, right? So it does prove if you do this that you are a strategic thinker because you thought through, okay, I have a problem on hand, how I do that. You use data to make decision that yes, yeah, I have a problem on hand. My training is not leading to better performance, right? Then you start looking at when you went for industry benchmark, you may have seen that they are using augmented reality or virtual reality and all. So you brought that in maybe at all the point of time, ensuring that you acquire and retain the right talent. Because if the training is not leading to better performance, then high performing employees may want to leave, right? You are a It also would show that you are a change management expert because you in HR within HR itself had to convince lots of people doing and how they were doing and do it in a way which will change things around. And why all this? Because you wanted to change the employee experience because the past experience was not good. Now you want to change it. And how did you do that? By effectively collaborating and communicating with everybody, right? And all of this would not have been possible without continuous learning and adaptability, right? Uh, this example was ethical use. Unethical use here could have been if you sit down and say, okay, which department complained, right? That training was not good and was not leading to good performance, and then start finding ways to find issues with those employees and do things which will not be ethical, right? And here in this case, as a leader, you didn't do that, and hence it was ethical use. But in real life, many a times it can get used in a different way, right? Please do have a look on how the whole story can and is built up. I think if we were doing it together, then I think there could have been many more questions from your side, which I would have loved to answer. But I still hope when you're seeing the video, you will be able to see the essence. Let me see if I can put this both side by side. Just yeah, you can see the difference. Here, the mean was going down. Yeah, and many a time you can use visual representations to make your case, and I think makes easier, right? Going up, it's going down. And if I come to the second one, they are all good. right? So the p-value was not significant, so it red, whereas uh, let's keep it this and just keep it red. And here, this one obviously is good, so we mark it green. So you can see the difference of how you can take the input and then start working onto it as a leader and then start working and turn things around, right? Here 3.7 to 3.8 to 3.4, whereas 3.7 to 4.5, and which is significant. And again, one more pointer out here for all of you, which is just don't go by the mean. Mean might go up, but it may not be significant. And that's why in statistics, we need to use this to ensure that everything is right and working perfectly fine. Right? So this is how I thought I'll take an example and show it to you on how this would work. Just give me 1 second. Let's try to wrap up everything we have done. Just yeah, once again bringing you back here. Just to recap, first one obviously when we did our first session, we understood lot many things, uh, which was the importance of data and analytics in then what are the various metrics, what is the role of HR analyst, how is HR analytics helping HR implement not many things. Then we went into types of data, right, and their example in HR. I think this is what we did in topic one. Uh, then in our second session, we went through the analytics ladder, which was data. Yeah, just to have a quick look. Yeah, yeah. Then we had different types of analytics, a different document I gave you. Then we went into LAMP model, right? Logic, analytics, metrics, and predictive analytics. Quite a bit of this we have to put up in the future leader skill and competence, right? So that's what we did in second and third topic. Then we went in a third session to fourth and fifth topic, right? We worked out how to map analytics to business requirements. I think we went through that extensively. We also looked at how do you do assessment analytics, and I've also added a few more documents in case you are interested and you want to read more, right? Then in our fourth one, 6 and 7, where we went through two live cases, and then we had a master overview. This is what I mentioned when I was saying that uh, concept of ANOVA, concept of correlation, concept of chi-square, concept of discriminant analysis, F-test, factor analysis, linear regression, multiple regression, logistic regression, P-test, Z-test, and sentiment analysis. Right? I've taken what gets in HR, and what I've done is I've given you definitions, I've given you HR applications, and some additional notes for you to read and make sense of, right? And obviously we did with 8 steps just to, yeah, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, put everything. We didn't figure it out completely, and we did the same thing even for, so uploaded the solution so that you can see it and you can read it. I think now, I think with the skill and competencies, I think now I hope you'll be able to appreciate why this 8 steps make sense, because everything then starts falling into place and you're using data, uh, trying to figure it out. Let's close this. Then we went, last lecture we did HR accounting and we did HR examples, right? And we spoke about it. We also did the practical part of it. Actually, quite a bit of this we did last time, so there's no need to repeat because it will be fresh with you. And today uh, we did the future leader work, right? The notes I've already uploaded. The remaining part, the video which you can watch, because there were a lot more examples there which I have given. So please do see that and then try to incorporate that from MCQ point of view and from the examination point of view. Uh, Everything would be notes based. The practical we did C worksheet, D worksheet, and A worksheet, and even HR accounting. What we did, I showed you practical part. That was only for your knowledge and personal consumption. That will not be part. You need to know about all the HRA models and all. They would come as part of your MCQs and as part of your subjective uh, final paper, but no practical stuff, because for practical stuff, most of you have to be here with me, so you get used to it. So I will not be including that when we are working, right? So I think with this we come to an end of our syllabus. As I said, that if you guys were there, just a few things more, but I think I've tried to cover as much as possible from my side, and I hope you find it useful and use it in your work. Uh, Last point before I go in is that, remember, analytics is same. What we did for HR analytics, if you go to sales, try to apply the same concepts, just the domain changes, the data changes, all the other concepts remain the same, right? So try using it. I hope it helps you in your work. It helps you to grow. Thank you very much. Have a great time, and I wish you all the best for your exams.